And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Welcome, everybody. Weighing in, Big John McCarthy, Josh Thompson, Podcast Dave. There was one thing I wanted to talk about real quick about last week's show. Okay, last week we got into some political stuff, and I wanted to make it very clear to you guys that is not something that we will be doing a lot, very often. God. What I wanted to say was we understand that you guys come to us for your getaway from all that other crazy stuff, and when you guys come to us, you come to us for MMA, and we are here to deliver you guys MMA information and what our thoughts are, our professional thoughts are, and that's exactly what you guys.
Hold it. Are we professional?
I would think. I think you spend this much time.
Dude, I feel good right now. We're professional. Now everyone will say, oh, John was drunk.
Well, it is what, 1 a.m. where you're at right now?
Yeah.
So I just wanted all of our fans, all of our subscribers, everyone to understand that, look, we will sometimes give our tidbits, but we know that you guys come to us specifically for MMA promotion, MMA fights, MMA content, and that's what we're here to deliver for you guys. I know that last week it was kind of hostile all throughout the United States, all around the world pretty much. So we just wanted to touch on it. We kind of got into it a little bit much, but we wanted to thank you guys for subscribing to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, all the platforms. We appreciate you guys. Please hit the subscribe button, a thumbs up on YouTube. And that shares our videos to everyone, as we say weekly. And we thank you guys for continuing to support us. Let's get into the fights, man.
Let's go. UFC 250.
I was, I don't know if it's now that we finally have gotten used to the no crowd. I'm starting to notice things that I didn't notice from the first couple fights with no crowd.
Like what?
There's a couple things. I don't know.
Wow,
if
you noticed two things. That's
there's more than a couple things. What do you got?
John, just bring your mic up a tiny little bit for me, please.
Bring your mic.
Yeah, just so that I can hear you a little bit better, because we all love that referee professional opinion over
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Fuck that shit.
So there's a couple things. I think that in the beginning it was new, so it was kind of just excitement to see fights in general. Like I was excited for the first couple shows the UFC did. I was energized. I was like, fuck yeah, there's fights, there's sports, there's everything. And it was nice to hear Rogan's voice and nice to hear DC's voice and Anik and these guys get into it. Nice to see the fighters getting after it. I think now that the dust has settled, I'm starting to notice that a lot of the fighters are not looking as sharp as they normally look. And I don't know if it's because of the crowd or the lack of a crowd, I should say.
Lack of a crowd.
Or they're just, I think maybe the fighters have started hearing what other fighters have talked about. Maybe they've probably fed off them like, hey, you'll probably be able to hear, Rogan talk. You'll probably be able to hear DC talk. I don't know. And then now I feel like, too, we're getting into a little bit of this. With the Felicia Spencer and Amanda Nunes fight, we're getting into, the fight should have been stopped. I'm sorry, but there was never a moment where she was taking way too much damage. Not until, there was a couple there at the end, in the end of the fourth, I think, and then of the fourth. But my point is that she was never in it. I get it. She was never in the fight. But she also, there was moments there where she got rocked, she got hit and clipped, but then Amanda didn't push the pace to try and get her out of there like she did with Cyborg. Now, I don't know if that's because of a lack of crowd. I don't know if that's because, you've got all the... Sometimes the energy will get you to go.
Come on, that's not the lack of crowd.
The energy will get you to go.
When she went after Cyborg, why did you go? Well, she hurt her.
But she hurt Felicia a couple times today, too.
If there's one thing Felicia Spencer has proven, now fighting both Cyborg and Amanda Nunes, look at that girl is tough. All right, she reminds me of Tex Cobb. Remember Tex Cobb?
No, I don't.
Oh, Jesus, you young bastard.
What are you, 76?
Nah, Tex Cobb fought Larry Holmes for the heavyweight world championship. Howard Cosell said, I'm never going to announce another fight because Tex Cobb took so much damage, but Larry Holmes could not get rid of him. And, Tex Cobb was the guy that if you went in a bar and you hit him with a bar stool, he'd turn around, look at you, smile, and just whip your ass. And so that's kind of like, Felicia Spencer. She just is tough. She has no quit in her. But what Joe and DC are talking about, especially after the fourth round, saying, look it. And you don't know what the scorecards are exactly, but I would have said that there was at least one 10-8, possibly two 10-8 rounds that she had lost. The other ones she had lost. So there is no way she can win on the scorecards. What has she done as far as hitting Amanda with punches to show that she can possibly hurt her or put her out? Nothing. She hit her with her best shot, and Amanda just walked through it. Mm-hmm. And so then we get into, okay, well, where we said, look, she's got a chance if she can get on the ground, be on top. We knew that her ground game on top, she's very good.
Yeah.
Underneath is a different story. She's just not quite, the same type of grappler. And there's, that's the way grapplers are. You get grapplers that are outstanding on their back, and you get ones that are outstanding being in the top position. So she wasn't able to even get to that top position ever really, and showed that she didn't have a submitter's chance in the fight either. So why are you putting her back out for the 5th round? Why? So you can watch her get beat on more, so you can watch her take more shots, so you can watch her possibly get altered as a fighter. I'm not saying that, Herb should have stopped the fight or anything like that. He shouldn't have. Herb did a great job. He brought the doctor in at a certain point in the 5th round. That was a smart move by Herb. But I can understand why DC and Joe brought that up, because it's a viable point.
Yeah, no, I'm not I didn't say I was disagreeing with that. I said, no, I don't want to continue to hear this though, for all these other fights that eventually go on, because here's the thing. And I'm going to use this as an example is, and I want to feel I'm kind of like stuck in the middle if I should feel bad. Like Miesha Tate, when she fought Holly Holmes, she didn't have a great fight. It was okay. She landed some clean shots, but she was struggling really to get the fight to the ground. Wasn't able to really mount a whole lot of offense on the feet. She had landed some clean shots, did some good stuff. Stop. I know. Look, stop. But let me.
She had won the 2nd round 10-8. Yes.
Oh, right.
She dominated because she got, you don't remember it, but I repped the fucking fight.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
She had won one of the rounds 10-8.
Okay.
So, yes, she was behind.
Yes.
Going into the 5th round, but if she won the 5th round, she had a chance of winning the whole fight. Okay. And then not only did she win the 5th round, she choked Holly unconscious. Do you remember that part?
Yes, I do remember that. That was my point.
Mr. Memory, let's go.
That was my point, but you rudely interrupted. So when I got to the 5th round, what my point was is that when you have these fighters that they don't seem like they're mounting a lot of offense. If you look at the Glover and the Anthony Smith fight, there was moments there where he just was in a fetal position on all fours with hooks in, like getting beat on. That to me, like that was a reason for them to stop the fight. This one here, she took some shots. Felicia Spencer did. She took some shots, but there was never a follow-up. There wasn't like, let me get after her, let me get her out of there. Now there was a little bit, for people, fight fans at home, you guys need to understand, when you're ahead and you're ahead and you're in control, why do anything stupid? They may potentially get you knocked out. So I understand that part. I also understand too that a crowd will sometimes energize you to get that person out of there.
I will agree with you.
Well, that was the point I was trying to get to before I was interrupted twice.
I just want to tell you that is a very legitimate point. I am so proud of you.
I was trying to get to it.
You are a genius.
I was trying to get to it. So and when we go back to the Miesha Tate fight, look, there was moments there where she was struggling to get the fight to the ground. And like, I do recall her winning one of the rounds. You were saying 10-8. My memory, obviously, CTE doesn't allow me to go back that far. And I'm a huge Miesha Tate fan, probably more than most. But it came down to the 5th round when you were saying that she really needed to pull it out of her ass to get there. And she did. And when you have someone like Felicia Spencer who has good submissions, can potentially do that. But then once I saw in the first minute of the 5th round, she got put on bottom, I'm like, this is over. Like there's really, like as a corner, why even bother with elbows? Why even bother giving her the amount of time to get cut, elbowed, knocked out, whatever, maybe potentially submitted, all of those things. As a corner, I would have probably suggested that we throw in the towel then or stop the fight then for the next 4 minutes because there was no reason. And I've had this discussion with you about with Crazy Bob. He said, like, you're behind. You need to go out there and you need to get it fucking done. If you don't get it done in this first little bit, then, or at least show me some sort of offense.
Show me that you're at least having an offensive output that has a chance of working.
Yep. And if you can't show me that, then I'm going to stop the fight. You know, so that's kind of where I was trying to get to before I was rudely interrupted a couple times. But I'm glad we finally got there. I'm glad we finally got it.
I apologize.
I thought the fight overall, but see, that was kind of the thing that I was looking at when it came down to now that we're so excited that sports are finally here and MMA is here. I'm noticing that, like, would Amanda have went after her a little bit more had the crowd and the energy been behind her? Like, oh, okay.
You're basically thinking that you have even as a fan's point of view. Mm-hmm. You're thinking that fans have an effect on fighters. And you're right, they do. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's hard for most fighters to actually perform without the crowd energy.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. There's some that it works for, but they are the minority that they're so good in the gym, and then under the lights they get that tightness. The butterflies get to them. They just don't perform. But those are the few, and that happens. But I think there's a difference. But I do think that the difference in the cage is showing.
Yeah, that
25-foot cage compared to the 30-foot cage. There's a big difference, man. I'm telling you, and they can sit there and say, and I saw the media saying, oh, well, they just said, that's what they, are going to put up in the Apex. Well, of course, that's what they're going to put it up because they have statistics that verify that there are more finishes in that 25-foot cage than there are in the 30-foot cage. And there's fighters that it's going to benefit, and there's fighters that it will actually be a deficit for. Go back. Matt Mitrione had to fight Roy Nelson in the 25-foot cage, and he blames that cage for his loss because he couldn't move the same way. There wasn't the same amount of room. And, you can say, well, he's got a little bit of a point there, I guess. So, it's the cage is a little bit different, but there was some really good performances, but you saw certain people.
Matt didn't want to blame that loss on his conditioning and getting tired,
that was
or potentially not.
So he wasn't that tired in the first round.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the one they fought. Didn't they fight again in Bellator?
Yeah, they fought Bellator.
Yeah, that's the one I thought you were talking about. That's hilarious. Sorry, I interrupted you for that.
It's okay.
Rudely interrupted you.
Rudely interrupted. I've heard someone say that before.
Do you think that she, how am I going to put this? I don't think she's the GOAT. And no matter how many times they say it, I don't think she is.
Boy, they're pushing that.
They're really trying to, that soundbite.
That one hard.
But I will tell you though, is that I think that Shevchenko has a really good chance of being the GOAT. If she can go back up to 35, potentially beat Amanda at 35, if she can get over that hump. I don't think she can. I'm just simply saying that I still think that Amanda has a ways to go. Sure, she beat Chris Cyborg, but for me, I think Chris Cyborg is still the GOAT, not because she's in Bellator, but because she went so long being undefeated and fought the who's who of everybody and everyone. Okay, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Amanda Nunes. I'm not a big fan of her style. I don't know what it is. I'm a huge fan of Amanda. And I think she's a sweet girl.
I love her.
There's a difference between being a fan of someone and like the fighting style. She knocks people out. She's impressive. I also see things like where, like tonight, I felt like she should have got her out of there. Maybe that's just me. It probably is me.
Chris couldn't get her out of there either.
I agree with you. I do agree with you.
Let's be honest about it. You take a look, and I'm going to say this about Amanda Nunes because I was doing Amanda Nunes's fights when she was fighting in Invicta.
Yep.
And she was an erratic fighter back then. Mm-hmm. Erratic in the fact that she had a lot of talent. She was athletic. She was strong. She built a certain way, but she had no control over the fight. She was emotional. She would, blitz when you knew that girl's not that hurt, and she would just throw out all this energy, and then she had to back off. She was trying to grab. She didn't know how to fight. Then she got into the UFC because they opened it up. and they needed 135-pound fighters because they had Ronda Rousey now. And, you know, she had a couple of fights, and she had a loss in there. She had a loss to Kat Zingano, in fact, where she gassed out. And she could not control the pace of a fight. If she couldn't control the pace of a fight, she had problems. And if she got into these extended grappling situations, that tended to, you know, tire her out, and she didn't know how to control it. She had the fight, her first fight with Shevchenko, and she did well with Shevchenko in the first round. Second round was hey, you could have gone almost either way, but I think she won it. In the third round, she got beat up by Shevchenko, but she's learned from all of those, and she's a completely different fighter now. She fights so smart now. She doesn't overextend on things. She doesn't take big chances when if she hurts someone, she'll back off a little bit and then just sit there and look for her shots. I got to give her credit. You know, she is the complete package because she went on the ground with Spencer and dominated on the ground as far as she was never in trouble. She was the one landing. She wasn't going after submissions, but she's landing good, heavy strikes and hard shots. You know, puts the hematoma on her head with an elbow. She's the complete package.
Yep.
And so, you know, I take nothing away. She beat Chris.
Yep.
Okay. No doubt about it. She absolutely smoked her in that fight, and she smoked Ronda. And since 2014, 6 years, she has not lost.
Yeah.
And that's the time that she has really changed as a fighter, and she deserves all the accolades. Does that mean that she's the greatest of all time? I'm saying she's getting closer to it. If she's not, she's definitely getting closer to it, because every win that she puts, you know, puts that notch on that handle of that gun. You know what? Every one of those is putting her closer to saying, yep, that is a true statement.
Yeah. No, I'm not taking anything away from her. I've always just kind of, from the time that she was, I believe when she was in Strike Force and then when she came over to the UFC, what kind of turned me off about her fighting style was she had the stand up. You said she was erratic in some stuff, but for me it was more like you said, the conditioning factor. When it came down to when it came down to like, hey, I need to get this win or I need to get this fight going, it was like she was okay with just holding you people on the ground. I'm trying to remember one of the fights that I had watched her fight where she got the takedown and she spent the whole time just hugging and not really moving, not trying to advance position. It was early in the UFC career. Like you were saying, those were not some of her best fights back then. And she's figured it out. She obviously has.
Oh, yes.
And we've said this before, confidence is key. So as you're winning and you're getting up there, obviously, and her being a double champ, her confidence is fucking through the roof right now.
And the other thing I want to point out right now is she's not only a double champ, she's a double champ that has defended both of those titles while she is held.
Yeah.
All right. That says a lot, because DC didn't do that.
Yeah.
Connor didn't do that.
Yep.
Cejudo did not do that. Cejudo went up to bantamweight, stayed at bantamweight, didn't go back to flyweight. So, hey, you know, she's doing it all. And she's going to have a baby girl. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I'm excited.
That's awesome.
That's exciting
awesome
news.
For her. Congratulations to her and Nina. That's great.
They let me see. What else was you were talking about? She's changed. She's evolved. She's become a much smarter fighter. And I think it showed tonight. But for me, I felt like she should have tried to get her out of there. That's just my only critique on her. But I've also given you guys reasons on why I think as a champion, like why, like for me, I don't know if it was the crowd not being there to get her to push a little bit harder, or from a fighter's perspective, hey, I'm up 3 rounds or 4 rounds now. Why take a chance, potentially slip, fall, get my back taken and choked out? You know what I mean?
I am
like
pedaling this bike down this path.
Yeah.
And it's staying upright, and I'm not running into anything, and I'm actually enjoying the sun and the waves or whatever you're at. Why am I going to change course?
Got it. Yep.
Come on, man. Yeah.
It's true.
I see nothing that anyone could say detrimentally towards her performance against Spencer tonight. I mean, she just dominated her.
Yeah.
It was there was a point there I was texting and said, "This is getting ugly."
Yeah, it was
because it was because
the end of the fourth.
Spencer was getting hurt to the point where there was just no offense coming out of her, and she was just a punching bag.
Yeah,
and Amanda's the one that made that happen.
I think it was the end of the fourth when she almost got finished with the rear naked.
Yeah,
I think it was the end of the fourth, I believe, and then she had taken some clean, really good shots right before that. So I was expecting. I was expecting her either to tap or I was expecting for Herb to stop it. I felt like had she been able to just flurry a little bit, I think the ref would have stopped it. So,
but super tough opponent in Felicia Spencer. You talk about someone that's got to evolve in the fight game. Her striking, she's got the chin. She's definitely got the chin. She's got to evolve her footwork in entering to throw punches. It's poor. It's really poor. And you look at fundamentals and you go, oh man, who are you being taught by that's not picking up the fact that you do this just bad? Mm-hmm. That is poor technique, and that's why you're having a problem getting into somebody. There's things that she has to get better at, and then she'll be back up there as the challenger.
I just don't know. She has to make some changes to her strengthening and conditioning because the explosiveness is not there. That's what I see from one fighter to another fighter. Like she kind of half-heartedly throws kicks and punches to try and close the distance. But the explosiveness is not there to get in deep enough on top level people like Amanda tonight. And so I think it was very evident right off the bat. On a couple takedowns, she got in deep, but she doesn't have the strength. Obviously, not a lot of girls do to take Amanda down, but she didn't have the strength and the drive. And then it was almost like a sense of shock that she got in so deep that she kind of stopped her movement as well. Once she did get in, like, oh shit, I'm here. Fuck, I didn't think I'd be here.
And not only stopped her movement when she got in, and then she's in that position. Amanda was able to take her down.
Yeah.
I like how DC cannot get himself out of wrestling. That's a wizard toss.
No, jeez. Yeah. I started laughing. I was texting him throughout the night. He was like, man, you're fucking crazy. Cause I was battling with him about the Joe Rogan and when Joe Rogan said that the Sean O'Malley knockout was better than the Cody Garbrandt knockout.
Oh no. Yeah.
And so I just, but you were talking about Amanda, how she's gotten smarter and her technique and everything has gotten better. She's found her groove. But that brings me to my next guy, Cody Garbrandt.
Oh, hey, come on. Cody looked good.
Yep.
Against a good, solid fighter in a Suncow. But you could tell in that fight, and Rafael was putting pressure the entire time. He was working hard. Cody is fast still, and that's the one thing. That's the one thing. When I was in the cage with him, I would sit there and go, "God damn, he's fast." And he just was. When he would explode, it was like, "Damn, man, that is not normal." And I had him in a couple of different fights. Mizugaki was one, and then Thomas Almeida was another, and then he had his fight with Dominic Cruz, which I thought was by far his greatest performance ever, because of the fact that he was in control of the fight and did not fall into any traps. Mm-hmm. And he did the same thing tonight. He was in control, even though Rafael was pushing that, trying to cut him off, trying to close the door on one side of him to force him off towards his right hand. Cody's hitting that leg, making Rafael have to switch stance because his leg's getting killed. Then he's hitting it to the inside. And when he would finally decide to throw his hands, damn, he touched him clean a lot of times. And that last punch, come on, he did the same thing at the end of the first round, setting up, but he put his hands to the side and decided I'm not throwing, but was, giving his head movement and looking and watching, saying, basically, you can't hit me. I'm seeing it. I can see everything you're throwing. Right.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the second round, he did the same thing. And a Sun Xiao got sucked in because of it, because of the fact that Cody did not throw in that ending of the first round. That's what made that right hand so accessible and why he landed it the way he did. And he put him out. And that was just a beautiful shot right before the bell.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is most fighters, right? They think a second left or 2 seconds left. Just go for it, or I'm going to throw something, or nothing's going to happen. We're both going to walk back to our corners, and I don't want to say they relax, but they just don't expect it to come.
And they give up that time sometimes too.
Yep.
They just give it up.
Yeah. Oh, who was the guy last week, right? That just turned his back and started walking away with 4 seconds.
Carlisle.
Spike fucking guy. What a fucking
get up with
guy.
4 seconons left.
Got up and started walking away.
But we've seen the best guys in the world do that at times too.
Yeah.
Gegard Mousasi did that against Lovato, if you recall, the third round of their championship fight. First round, Gegard loses. Second round, Gegard loses. Then all of a sudden in the third round, the tide changed and Gegard got on top and he was doing damage. And then there was about 4 seconds left, 3 seconds left, and he just gets up and starts walking back to his corner. Now, Lovato did not, go after him, but it was like, what are you doing? It's like, yeah, guys don't do it at times.
So back to Cody. Mark Henry, I got to tip my hat to him. He's got him to refocus. I'm not saying that he's made him the fighter he is, because he was already really good.
He's just polished it a little bit.
He's just made him, I think, realize that you have all the intangibles to be the champ again. There's no doubt about it. He's got the power. He's got the speed. We saw that tonight. We saw the power and the speed, both of those things tonight. The only thing I think that he needs to fix, which I think he fixed a little bit of it tonight, this is an ongoing thing, is the mental. Is you cannot let them get into you and make it a grudge match like he did with TJ Dillashaw. And I think he admits it. It cannot be that way. He cannot fall in love with his power and like, you hit me, I hit you, and let's do this. There was moments tonight where he relaxed. He was laughing with the Sun Sound. He was joking with him. I heard him. And he said, you're kidding me. Like, they had jokes back and forth, but it was also for him. It favors Cody when he fights that way. And when he fights that way, I feel like he's probably the best, or he's the number one contender in that position. He is that good, so fast, so explosive. I really like what he did with the calf kicks. I'd like to see him mix his punches and his kicks together a little bit more. Tonight was a lot of one kick. He was
very, very heavy in the feints.
Yeah.
He was throwing, he was jumping and giving, left shoulder feint, right shoulder head movement. He was doing all these different feints. Anyway, a lot of, Sunstown was like, he'd look at it like, okay. And it had already come and gone and been gone for a second. And he kind of give a little movement, and you go, you don't have to feint that much, Cody. You're out feinting him right now.
Dave, I think at the end, make sure you keep this track of what time this is, because I want you to put a little short clip of bloopers of John trying to describe feints. It's hilarious.
Head's bobbing.
Oh man, I thought for a second you had Tourette's.
I probably
he's like, but yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Forward, I hit the mic because the first thing I did is like, I can't.
But I feel like tonight was, it was good for him to get that win. That was one. The way he got the rebirth, yeah, the 2.0
of Cody Garbrandt, man. And hey, if this is the guy that we're going to get, people are going to have problems with him.
Yeah, I agree.
Really good.
Yep. I get a little concerned because he has been clipped, a couple times in his last 3 fights, I think was what it was. I'm glad he's back on track. I liked how relaxed how relaxed he looked tonight and how it seemed like he felt tonight. I think with Mark Henry, he's got him dialed in with the new combinations, with him using his brain, listening to Mark Henry. So then he needs to relay that back into his fight. Yep. Maybe that's good for him, because instead of left kick, right kick, feint, all those things, right? He's counting out numbers, and it's making Cody think of that instead of like, okay, my opponent's doing this. Okay, I'm just looking for the opening to throw the combination of the numbers that Mark Henry just sent in there. maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. But tonight, it definitely seemed like it was a good thing. And I really feel like him being over there with Mark Henry, with Moraes, with Frankie Edgar, with all those guys that are there, that's a good camp, man. They're good guys. They're really good people. Frankie Edgar is probably one of the fucking best guys in the world I think I've ever fucking met in my life. And he is, I think him being around positive, great, and not that he wasn't an alpha male, but just positive energy and a new look for him of having a coach that is right in front of him. Like, this is me and you. There's no one else. There's no other fighters. You know, I mean, Frankie was showing me and telling me that, you know, that Mark Henry trains them in the basement. Just them, just the two of them. Hey, your time is this time. Meet me here. Let's do some mitts. There's, you know, the room's not that big. You have nowhere to run. You're just in there hitting mitts with your coach and, you know, just talking game plan, getting over it. And I think it's amazing. And I'm glad to see him back on the winning track. And a huge win like that, I think Hassan Sal is ranked number 4. That catapults him from number 9, probably back up into, you know, 5, you know, 4 or 5 position, top 5 again. So somewhere in that position. And with a knockout like that, I could see him going into that 4th position.
Was it a better knockout than Sugar Shane?
Yes, it was. Hands down, it was. There was no doubt about it. Don't get me wrong, Sugar Shane was pretty fucking dope.
You calling him
Shane?
Oh,
it was great.
Huh? Sugar Sean.
You calling him Shane?
We're calling him Shane. Sugar Sean. Sorry.
Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Sugar Shane. Did we say? I was thinking Shane. Sugar Shane.
Well, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That was
Sugar
the original. Shane Mosley.
Yeah, Shane Mosley. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So Sugar Sean. Anyways, but I'm not taking anything away from him either. I thought he had a good performance as well. I mean, the fight didn't go very long, but it took him a second to find the range and the rhythm. And I'm going to touch a little bit on what DC said. He feinted a little right uppercut, and he also feinted the jab. So the right uppercut kind of brought that lead hand down, and then he feinted the jab a little bit. And so he kind of like was trying to like slip more to the same side as the power hand. And when he did, he just stepped right into it. I mean, the two things to go together. And I thought, but I am going to get into this. We'll get into this, I think, a little bit later, because I want to talk about all the stuff with Masvidal and Jones and all those guys. But it remind me to bring up his name as well. Yes, I know. We might as well get into that as well. But as far as Sugar Sean, he looked amazing. He looked good. Short fight.
But you know, you have to admit, and this is nothing against O'Malley. He's an up and coming fighter, and he's looking really good. And Eddie Wineland is a good fighter, but he's past his prime, you know? And so the difference in the levels of who Cody Garbrandt was fighting, Rafael, you know, that was a top 5 fighter.
Yeah.
Okay. He did that knockout against a top 5 fighter, and O'Malley's was against a guy who was a great fighter at one time, but is on the downward turn of his career and is going out. So that also has something to do with the levels of what it does. Sometimes it's who you do it against.
Yeah.
That kind of makes it, ooh, look at who that was against also, because a Sun Xiao, or Sun Cao, I always say a Sun Xiao, but it's Rafael, man, he's been in with everyone. No one knocks him out.
Yeah.
He's only been knocked out, I think, once before this. So yeah, he's a tough out.
Yes. The whole fight itself with Cody and him was I just felt like Hassan Sal just had to make adjustments that he wasn't able to make because of the speed. And the speed makes you flinch, which when I say it makes you flinch, it means that you are a second, sometimes 2 seconds behind the person who is throwing. So if I feint, you react, and by the time you're done reacting, I've already landed my other 2 punches because I actually throw off of your reaction. And so if you're a step behind, if you're a step behind, you're getting clipped and hit with some clean shots before you can even react. And with Sugar Sean, he's just long and lanky and has that style that
he's got power, though. You got to give him credit for a 135-pound fighter, man. He can swat.
He's got power, but I think a lot of it, I feel like, go with the Conor thing is he's got the timing. The timing is right on point.
Well,
he's so relaxed. His timing's on point. He's like
timing and technique create power.
Yeah. So he's come a long way. That's one, because they were talking about him when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. He's come a long way. But if we're going to
continue on The Ultimate Fighter, he was on the Dana White.
Aren't they all the same? It's all the same.
No, it's not the same.
Anyways, the Contender Series. that body style though we've talked about for a long time, and just it works. It works for MMA. It's hard to get in on the legs. They're long. They keep you away. He uses his length and his reach very well. I guess. I mean, realistically, look, I heard things out of him tonight in his post-fight interview, and he is a guy who is coming up like that. You need to renegotiate your contract, and you need to make sure that it's the figures that you want. That's all I'm saying. I'll get into him more later on when we talk about the other guys. But he's already talked about last fight I'm supposed to renegotiate. This fight I'm supposed to renegotiate. You need to make sure you get what you want, because if they sign you to a long-term deal, you're going to be stuck with that number. And we're seeing it right now with a lot of the other guys. So he needs to make sure his figures and numbers are what they want. And then we'll talk about the fans' reactions, because they are all bitching and whining about Gamebred and John Jones and all these other people talking about what they want.
You got to talk about Aljamain Sterling.
Yes.
And Sandhagen. Man, I'm telling you, I thought that was going to be a great fight.
It was a good fight.
Well, it was.
It was quick. It was good.
It was. But what I said, look, if you're Aljamain, you don't want to stand on your feet with this guy. You have a distinct advantage on the ground. Did I not say that?
Yeah, I don't recall that, but I thought I thought somewhere in there. So yes, you did say he had a distinct advantage on the ground. The stand-up was going well for him though as well. I think the speed obviously played a factor, because he got in so deep on that press to the fence, was able to get to the back. But the speed made Sandhagen put his back to the fence. And in that smaller cage, it worked to his advantage.
Totally worked to his advantage. Yeah. That cage was meant for that fight for Aljamain Sterling.
Yep.
That cage helped him because it's just a little bit less distance until you hit that edge with that cage, and he got in super deep. But you got to admit, beautiful switch, because he gets the body triangle, has it, gets the choke, is squeezing the jaw, and it's uncomfortable. Yeah. I give Corey a lot of credit, man. He gutted his way through it and just switched the arm over to the other arm, and that thing was under the chin, and there's nothing you're going to do. If you can't get that arm unlocked, you're going to go out.
Yeah.
And he tapped right at the end, but he actually even went out. But beautiful performance by Sterling.
Yeah,
Aljamain looked fantastic.
Once he got that figure 4 on and they weren't sweaty yet, I was like, ooh, this is not looking good. This is not good right now. So it was in tight. He had stretched him out, by pushing the hips into the back.
Yep.
Did a great job.
That bow.
Yep. Even though it was on the jawline, as soon as he was like pulling and yanking and he didn't get it, he got it out. He switched to the other side, like you said. It took him a second to pull him back down into his guard, or into the back control. But he still had the figure 4 and putting that pressure into his waistline. And what people don't, I want to make sure everyone at home understands, if you guys haven't grappled or you guys are just a fan of MMA, but you've never trained, what that does, that keeps him from taking a really deep breath to get his wind.
Little tiny, sucking through a straw.
Yeah, little tiny breaths. And then on top of it as well, you have nowhere to go. You need, you try to roll left and right, and it's really hard to get to that position, especially if the guy has a good figure 4 lock around the waist, and he can just start attacking on any direction. Normally to defend that, they want to roll to that same side that it's locked on and try and kick
put the foot to the ground.
Yeah, they want to put that foot to the ground, and they want to actually bring their leg closest to the one that's figure forward. They want to try to hook that leg and kick it out, so they can try to scoot their hips over the leg and break their figure 4. I'm just giving you guys a little tutorial right here on 101, Jiu-Jitsu 101. Okay, but hopefully you guys go back. If you guys go back and watch, at least you know what's going on. I thought,
but if you go back and watch it, one of the things that you'll see is in the beginning when Aljamain gets that and locks in that figure 4 on his body, he doesn't do the right things. He actually turns himself to the side so the foot's up in the air. Yeah. Which is telling you you're never going to be able to turn inside of it. That's not going to happen for you. And these are the things that he has been taught. You know it. But as the pressure's on, they just, things are just going so fast, and they're trying to, get this thing right and right the boat that, is now starting to take on water, and the wheels are falling off sucker fast. And it was like, You know he's been taught it, but their brain doesn't work. They can't slow it down enough to say, okay, this is what I do. Step 1, step 2. Oh, now I'm getting myself out.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it'll be good to see Corey come back. He's going to be really good in the 135 pound. I thought this was going to be a tough fight for him if Aljamain got it to the ground, because I think Aljamain on the ground he's outstanding, man. He's got good wrestling, and his jiu-jitsu game is freaking solid, man. And we talked about it because we talked about Caraway. He freaking dominated Caraway on the ground. And Caraway is good on the ground. He is a solid grappler. As you said with Misha Tate, a lot of what she learned was from
Dennis Holman. Yeah. from those guys, all those guys back there. Anyways, yeah, Misha's nasty.
It was Dennis too.
Misha's nasty on the ground. It's really good.
She is.
Yeah, I think. So, what do you think? Sterling is what? Sterling for next. Everyone's like, push Aldo out, Peter Yan, and Sterling for the top. Why? Why is this? Why is there so much hate against Jose Aldo? Because he lost to Moraes, and now they don't want him to get the title shot. I don't understand this.
When you are getting a title shot off of a loss, and no matter what anyone wants to say, it was a close fight. So there's people that think that he won the fight. Doesn't matter. It's a loss.
Yeah.
So you're getting a title fight off of a loss. It doesn't look real good. Now he's not the first one to get it. So does he have the pedigree and the background to say that he deserves it? Yep, he does. But he's got his hands full with Peter Yan.
No, he's got his hands full with Peter Yan, but I'm going to tell you
he's got his hands full.
What I'm going to tell you guys right now is that if you were to put Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan in the cage, guess how many pay-per-views you're going to sell? Maybe a couple hundred.
Part of the business thing.
If you put Jose Aldo in there, everyone's going to think, guess what? Jose Aldo.
But let's be honest. You paid for the pay-per-view tonight. I paid for it because we have to do this.
I don't know if I paid for it.
Exactly. I knew you pirated it. But...
I don't know.
So was this a actual pay-per-view worthy card?
On paper, yes. I thought it was close. I
thought it was a decent card. I didn't think it didn't have that wow factor.
No.
I wanted to see Cody come back. I wanted to see Aljamain and Corey. Those were fights that I was super interested in, but it didn't have that normal pay-per-view. Oh, there's your stack.
I only watched it, to be honest, is because we do this show. So no, but that because of Cody. I actually wanted to see how much of a difference Mark Henry made with him and how he would perform. That was my incentive. Like that was probably the main reason why I watched it. Is I wanted to see how he has changed in his mentality on how he approaches the fight. Does he let the fight develop in front of him? Does he go out there and get into exchanges that he doesn't need to get into? Like, where is he mentally when this all goes down? I mean, having 3 losses like that is just, it's hard to come back from. It's really hard to come back from. And to have a dominant performance the way he did tonight, that made me tune in to watch the pay-per-view. Sure, the other fights I was definitely into because you really talked me into the Sterling and Sandhagen fight, and it was a good fight. Yeah. Sugar Sean is going to be a draw, and I think he's got that body style, that charisma, and all those things. But if you're talking about future pay-per-views and people that are going to buy them, if you're talking about the 135-pound division, Jose Aldo fighting Peter Yan cannot sell, not right now.
Hardly anybody knows him.
Yeah, hardly anyone knows him. And the same thing with Aljamain Sterling, if he was to fight him as well. If they were to fight for the vacant title, I would go, I know it's a good fight. I know it's going to end up being a good fight, but the casual fans like, I never heard of these guys, or I've seen them maybe one time, a year ago. You know what I mean? You've got to put Jose Aldo in there. People tune in. If Peter Yan walks through him or looks good, oh shit, that's that guy that beat Jose Aldo. Fans at home, if you guys are listening to this, there's marketing behind this. And no matter how much I dig really hard into the UFC sometimes, this is a smart play by them. I got to tip my hat to them. Smart play by them to put the Jose Aldo as for the vacant title against Peter Yan. Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. Guinness. Brilliant.
I like that.
Any other fight? I didn't watch the prelims, honestly. I was caught up doing stuff with our boss.
All the prelims I watched for what reason when you can't.
I know. I can give you
what
my
is
feedback.
up with that?
I can give you my feedback. I watched the God, I forgot his name. I did watch one of the prelims. The kid where his 18-year-old brother died.
Oh, Stamen.
Cody Stamen, and the kid. What was the other kid? And I watched the fight after that. Nemich or Nihich or.
Oh, Ian
Heinich.
Heinich.
Yes.
Heinich.
So I watched both those fights. Stamen looked good. He looked good.
Yeah, man.
He looked.
Feel so bad for him.
He
looked great for a guy that's dying inside.
Yeah.
You know, man, he had a really good performance because the guy he was fighting has been looking really good.
Yeah.
Has been putting on some great performances. So
yeah.
I knew that was going to be a tough fight, and he handled it really well. The third round was starting to get a little bit away from him.
Yeah.
He was eating some shots, but with everything that was happening this week for him and the fact that he stayed with the fight, you know, congratulations to him on winning the fight. And I'm so sorry about what happened with his brother.
You know who it reminded me of?
What's that?
It reminded me of Ian Freeman and Frank Mir. Remember when Ian Freeman's dad had passed? I want to say the day before or 2 days before that.
2 days before.
2 days before his dad had passed, and he fought Frank Mir and just annihilated Frank Mir because Frank was trying to go for the leg lock. God, why is my long-term memory is not too shabby, but I can't tell you someone's name from 20 minutes ago. But it was I was getting flashbacks to that fight, and I'm very happy for him. I was actually, that's the reason why when I started hearing DC talk about it and I started hearing Joe talk about it, I was like, okay, maybe I sat down and just started like sitting in and watching the fights because I was trying to get ready to do something, a phone call with our boss. And so, yeah, I was very happy for him. I'm very happy for him. You know?
DC is fun as a commentator because he laughs at him. He laughs at other people. He laughs at himself.
He had to. He screwed up on the Illustrator a couple of times tonight. I thought it was hilarious.
He had 12 dots on a telestrator that had nothing to do with what he was talking about. It was
so funny.
I'm like, what are you doing? Right? I was laughing.
And he was laughing at himself. He's like,
exactly. That's the whole point. He was laughing.
And then he goes out there and he murdered someone's name, like one of the fighters. He murdered his name, like trying to pronounce it, couldn't get it right. And then he goes on Twitter while the fights are going on. Man, I just murdered that dude's name. I'm so sorry. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you're hilarious. And then he tried to use the Illustrator live when he was
Telestrator,
Telestrator. So cut me some slack. It's not easy to use it live. To use it live, then he's like, "Oh man, I totally missed the spot." He was like totally making fun of himself. I thought it was great.
And he sits there. All right, roll it, guys.
Yeah.
guys, roll. Hey, come on, man.
I said that one time in the in-cage interview in Ireland. I said, yeah, maybe we can get the playback to play again because I had already missed it. and all of a sudden, our producer in our ears yelling at me, "Give me a second! It already played." I was like, "Oh shit!" I don't know if they talked to DC like that. Just started cracking up. But it was funny. He said it a couple times. Come on, fellas, or come on, guys, let's go.
Come on,
roll it. It was so funny.
He's fun. He's a lot of fun, and he makes watching the fights fun. Yeah. Him and Joe together are really good.
Yeah, I honestly I don't know if outside of those two, I don't think I like another group of them together. I like Anik a lot. I like him a lot, and I like DC and Joe together, those three. I like Dom because Dom's very knowledgeable. Like the way he breaks it down, the way he says stuff, he's never really like yelling into the mic. He talks slow enough for me to understand. I like Dom. I like Dom a lot.
But he's the homer. Dude, he's the worst homer. Dude,
I'm pretty bad.
If he has trained with somebody.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad.
All right. Or they have trained at Alliance for a time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens in the fight as long as his guy won it. It's like, all right, Dom, we know you it's your guy. You know, that's the only bad thing. Because he's gotten in some even arguments with DC over incidents when Jeremy Stevens fought Josh Emmett. You know, you look and you know there was some question on what happened and stuff. And he's like, he's just going, that's my guy, right? I go, well, there is loyalty there. I kind of like that, but you can't be quite the homer unless you tell everyone, hey, let's be honest. I train with Jeremy Stevens. Okay, now you put it out there. Now everyone can go, oh, you're a homer.
DC is a huge homer also, though. He's a big-time homer. You know? So it's like, you have to understand, we have relationships with these guys. We train with them all the time. You know, it's just part of the game.
It's tough. It is.
It is hard. It's hard to be impartial. You know, especially when there's somebody that you don't train with and you really hate them. It's hard to say nice things about them. I've had to do that a couple times. I've had to like, oh, this guy's so good. I'm thinking to myself, what a freaking scumbag.
Hey, there was two really good performances that we got to talk about. Neil Magny fought Martin.
Forgot. Yep.
You know, Rocco Martin, and it was a good fight.
Yep.
It was I thought Magny lost the first round for sure, but third round he obviously won. It was all about the second round, and I'm great with him winning it. I didn't think he won at 30-27, which one of the judges had.
Yeah, I didn't. But it was two judges had it 30-27.
Two had it?
Yeah, two had it
really?
30-27. Yeah, and the other one had it 29-28.
I didn't buy that. 29-28.
Yeah, okay I thought it was 29-28 as well. I thought Neil Magny looked good. I think DC and Joe were saying that the third could have been a 10-8, and I didn't agree with that.
No. Negative.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that. But here's the thing, and I think I said this the last time Neil Magny fought. He's the guy that every time, if I was to fight him, right, I'm like, hey, you're going to fight Neil Magny. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. And I've said this about Tony Ferguson also when they called me about him. He's the guy like, yeah, he's not really that good. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to beat him. Guy wins. He's good. He's so good. You know, and
he does not get tired.
No, he just keeps going forward.
Man.
His punch output wasn't as normal. Like he's normally a lot more active.
Near as much. Yep.
You know, so I
agree.
That goes back to, I think I started having these thoughts in my head about the crowd, about no one there. It just potentially hearing the commentators. That's a huge thing as well. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's changing some of the ways the guys fight, the girls fight, like being able to hear every little thing, being able to hear your opponent breathe. Like, I mean, there's things like that that I really feel can maybe be changing the way the sport is being fought right now.
Yeah.
And but no, like I said, when I looked at Tony Ferguson, I'm like, oh man, this guy's not that good. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. When you get out there, it's not the same. It's not the same. And Neil Magny's that guy.
He's a lot better than I thought.
I looked at him. I look at Neil Magny. And I'm like, God, he's not that good. But guys can't take him down. His stand up. His punch output is tremendous, and he's just touch,
super
kick,
long,
touch,
and
kick.
His ground game is fantastic.
Yeah, he's good. Yep.
And the other one was Clark had the fight against Alonzo Menafield. Menafield.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Clark had a really good performance.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, because Menafield is a freaking beast.
Yeah.
And Clark, good game plan, make him grapple, wear him out, get his arms heavy, and that's what got him the win.
Yeah.
Finally put a dent on Menafield's undefeated record. So
yeah.
Nice fight.
Okay, so let's get into this. Yes.
Hold on. I have some breaking news, guys.
Breaking news.
Yep. I want to just get this out of the way. So right after Nunes beat Felicia Spencer, Conor McGregor tweeted, and I quote, "Hey guys, I've decided to retire from fighting. Thank you all for the amazing memories. What a ride it's been. Here's a picture of myself and my mother in Las Vegas post one of my world title wins. Pick the home of your dreams. Mags, I love you. Whatever you desire is yours." End quote.
Who's Mags?
His mom.
Oh, okay, his mom. Look, this leads us right into where we're going. The total lineup is if you want money, okay, you gotta stand up, fighters. Okay, and I'm gonna continue to go with this. I will always support the athlete. I feel like you guys, and don't get me wrong, I think the promotion's given us a platform to do what we love, and they're providing. I don't think that we need to be quite to the level of, say, what the NFL and the NBA at 50-50 or 60-40. Let's dial it in. Let's get it up to, like, say 18 to 20%. Right now, what are we at? We're at like 12. What is that? I mean, can we get it to 25%? Can we
25, 30.
I understand, but let's do it in phases. Like, there's no reason to jump. The NFL and them, they didn't do this right off the bat. They worked their way to those positions. Like, we can't look at those companies and those promotions or those companies and say like, hey, let's get to 50% right away. Let's make the adjustments for everyone as we go. The problem is though, is that fighters there's going to be always someone that will do it for less. And you guys are stepping on your own dicks when you guys do this. And that's what that's until you guys stick together, it's never going to happen. It doesn't matter
if it's fighters or officials or anything. You're going to get, hey, this is what it costs. And someone coming in saying, I'll do it for less.
Yep.
And fighters do it and officials do it. And you look and you go, you just blew it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you guys an example. I was fighting Clay Guida and I had some sponsors, and my sponsor had called me and said, hey, can we work on, we'd already negotiated. My sponsor was paying me $15,000, like for one patch on my shorts and a place on my shirt. They're paying me $15,000. That was back when the sponsors were paying pretty well. And so I had one sponsor for a spot on my shirt, a spot on my shirt. Then they called me and said, can we renegotiate this? It was like the week of the fight. Clay Guida said that he'll wear all of our gear, and all they want is, and they'll make the clothes and the banners for all the corners. That's it. He wanted it for free, basically. And I'm like, they wanted to renegotiate my deal. So we're stepping on each other's dicks, is what I like to say, is because we can't get out of our own fucking way to unite enough to say like, hey, you know what? Let's try and get this worked out where we can get a little bit bigger piece of the pie. And all we have to do is sit out for a month, maybe 2. Some of you guys aren't even ready to fight. So what does it matter if you guys sit out or not? You know what I mean? So but here's the thing. Right now, they've got the guys that they need to say, we need to rebuild. We need to get paid a little bit more. John Jones, who everyone knows I'm not a big fan of, but I think this is a good idea by him to do something like this. If you want to fight Francis Ngannou, John maybe doesn't agree to me. It's not a title shot, but I do think he deserves a little bit more money. I'm not saying he needs to break the bank, not Wilder money.
Okay. But here's the one thing. I'm going to go with the side of the promotions here. Since you're taking the side of the fighters, I'll go the other way.
Traitor.
Yeah, well, it's just the way it is. But especially right now, when you're the promotion, be it, let's say, the UFC, and you're doing these shows out of the Apex Center, which is at least saving you money that you don't have to pay for an arena, but you don't have any ticket sales. How much money are you losing? So if you have a John Jones wanting to fight a Francis Ngannou, which you could say, hey, that's a major fight, and I could take it to the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and I could sell that sucker out and get a gate of about, we'll say for that fight, 12 million, 8 to 12 million, somewhere in there. That's 8 to 12 million that I could make to pay the fighters with, that I'm not going to be losing. So now if I'm not having the gate, I'm telling the fighter, hey, I can't pay you that right now. We don't even have people in the stands that are going, oh, you just don't want to pay me. I can't pay you the same. It's the same as Conor McGregor saying all of a sudden, I'm retiring. Why is he retiring? You know why he's saying he's retiring. Is he retiring? No. Okay, but he wants money for a fight, and they're saying, hey, right now, we want you to take a little bit of a pay cut. I'm not saying the fighter is going to be happy with the pay cut, but right now, as the promotion, without the ability to have all of these different sales of ticket sales, concessions and things that are in the stands, merchandise, all of that, the promotions is losing a lot of money that they could be making with every show. Go ahead now. I was siding with the promotion.
No, I understand. And you did a very good job of that. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. But as a fighter or as someone who works for a company or whatever, you basically are just saying that we're supposed to eat shit until you're able to get money back. But what have you been doing with all the money you've been profiting off of our backs up until now? Where did all that money go? Is it just sitting in your bank account collecting interest?
No.
Tell me why can't
it created
I?
The arena that you're going to fight in the Apex Center.
That's fine. You did
and
that.
This
you
UFC
did that
building with this PI thing. Okay, it's created all that.
I didn't ask you to build that.
I didn't say you asked
You know,
me,
but that's my point. My point is, as
I
a
have place
fighter,
for you to train.
but then most of them already have camps. They can go train there. They didn't need the PI Institute or whatever it's called. But that's my point. When fighters like Masvidal, when fighters like I heard tonight from Sugar Shane, Sean, whatever, okay? Sugar Shane. I keep thinking Sugar Shane Mosley. Sugar Sean. When you
Sugar
start,
Sean O'Malley.
For years I was saying Sugar Shane. Sugar Sean, in his tone of voice tonight was, hey, I was supposed to get my contract done before.
Yeah.
I need to get my contract done now. And I'm hoping that I'm getting paid more money. And when he brought up the $100,000 tonight, that's a young man who is driven to make sure he makes as much money as he possibly can.
Well,
and he should be.
Here's the one point that I'm now gonna flop over to the fighter
Trader. Go ahead.
Trader jumping ship. Yeah. But it's, and this is the truth of, and I think Masvidal actually brought it up in that, Dana came out saying, hey, they're independent contractors.
Yeah, they're
not.
No.
Okay, they're not. That's a lie.
Yes.
That is an absolute false statement, because an independent contractor, it's as simple as this for people that don't understand. If you're a tiler and you're going to tile someone's floor, all right, and we'll say it's 400 square feet. You know exactly what it's a 20 by 20 room. It's 400 square feet of tile. This is what I'm going to charge you to do it. And you go, oh, no, that's too much. I'll pay you half. Mm-hmm. Well, as the tiler, then I can say, well, no, I'm not going to do it for half. And I can move on to another job. Yeah. And when I go to that job and it's a 400 square foot job and I give them the price and they go, okay, well, then I'm making the money I want to make. That makes me an independent contractor. But if I can go nowhere else, I am not an independent contractor. I'm an employee under contract. And this is the whole thing that guys like John Fitch, Kung Lee have been fighting with the Muhammad Ali Act for getting it into MMA, to say that this is an unfair labor practice.
Yeah.
Of saying that they're independent contractors, so you don't have to pay for insurance and things like that, but they do not have the ability to be independent and go to another higher bidder when you don't pay them what they believe they're worth.
Yeah, the other thing with independent contractors is independent contractors can make their own schedules and go other places. They can also request every job be paid differently. So in this case, right, with our job, if I was to fight, so like when I'm talking about Sugar Sean, I think I got it right.
Hey, you got it.
I got it right. When I'm talking about Sugar Sean, look, when he renegotiates this deal, he better make sure he gets as much money as he possibly can, because they may give him an easy fight, his first fight and his new contract, to line his pocket a little bit more. But his second fight and his third fight into that new contract, guess what? He'll be right up in that title contention or talking about title contention, and you can't renegotiate your deal for that. And so he had better make sure. That's the problem with signing long deals. I want to say it was Rich Franklin. I think right before he fought Ken Shamrock, he had signed like an 8-fight or
8-fight deal.
8-fight deal.
8-fight deal. Yep.
And
Anderson signed a 10-fight deal.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about, like, it didn't really matter based on the opponent. You got paid what you got paid. Take it or leave it. But if you didn't take it, this is where you guys at home need to listen and understand. If I don't take a fight, I can't go fight somewhere else. That's one. Two is it extends my contract for 4 to 6 months. Okay. And as a champion, you can never leave. So every time you defend your title, it says in the contract, it extends your fights. I want to say 2 fights, maybe 3. Is it 3? Is it 3?
3 fights.
Yeah, 3 fights. So every time you defend your title, it extends it 3 fights. So you're always extending your contract as a champion, so you can never leave, a la BJ Penn. And you guys can thank him for that when he had left after he fought. So there are things that are said in the unless you're retired, which means you'll never be able to fight somewhere else. Randy Couture found that out as well, trying to fight at Affliction. They will hold you up in court until you basically go bankrupt.
They'll bleed you.
Yeah, they'll bleed you, and you basically have no money coming in unless you want to work somewhere else. Now, everyone at home is probably sitting there going, yeah, but you signed a contract. Yes, we understand that we signed a contract. Fighters understand we signed a contract. we're doing something we love, but the piece of the pie needs to be a little bit bigger. Okay, we're not talking. What are they making now? What is it?
Not 12%.
Is it 12%? Let's get it to 18.
Anywhere between 12 to 15.
Yeah, let's get it to 18. It doesn't just, here's the thing, it doesn't just benefit the guys that are on top. It benefits the whole slew of all the guys that are on the roster and girls. The whole roster. And so when you're thinking like, man, how much is that? That percentage is quite a bit. You know, when you're talking about what they make, let's say the Conor McGregor gate is what Dana just said recently. He makes about 19 to 20 million at Conor McGregor gate. 19 to 20 million. Outside of Conor, I don't know what I don't really know the bottom line of what he makes, but on paper he makes what? 3 million, I think is what he made for the Khabib fight. On paper.
Conor?
Yeah, on paper. On paper. I think what they showed.
Hold it. Hold on. I got a stitch in my side from
from laughing.
$3 million.
But
hello.
Yeah, but I'm saying, you know, he made, you know, when he fought Floyd, I know it's Floyd. I get it. You know, he made $100 million.
How much did he make?
100 million is
over
what?
100.
Yeah.
Over 100.
It was I don't know the exact numbers. I know it was around, he said 100. Well, I think he had said 100, but I don't know if when the pay-per-views came in, if it made way more than that. But either way, we're splitting hairs, fucking millions or millions, okay? We're splitting hairs, seriously. When you're talking about that kind of, these guys can't go anywhere else. They're stuck, you know, and it's no different from all the promotions do their business this way, you know, and I never had a problem with Strikeforce. And I never had a problem with the UFC either. I never had a problem with Bellator when I fought for them because I knew that's kind of what the going rate for someone of my caliber was fighting for at the time. You know, I never had, but then I also could always go talk to my promoter. And that's why when I talk to you guys in terms of my relationship with Scott Coker was someone I could always go to and be like, hey, I'm making good money, but I feel like I kind of deserve a little more. And he'd like, you know what? Why don't we just restructure after this next fight? We'll do something. He would be willing to have conversations. Didn't mean I always got what I want. Let me just be very upfront about that.
I was going to say.
And it was almost very rarely I got what I wanted, but the conversation was to be had, not to be criticized and down talked and basically talk to you through the media. Like, oh, well, what the fuck's he want? You know, we're going through quarantine. We're going through COVID. That's not my problem. As a fighter, that's not your problem. Okay. As an employee, as basically you're saying we're self-contracted, but that's bullshit. We're not independent contractors. We're a fucking employee and we're an employee to you. I don't care if you built the Sports Institute. I have my own fucking gym. You know, I don't care if you built the Apex Arena. I don't care. Okay, that should not affect how I make my money. It doesn't.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, because you have all these seasons. We'll say like the NBA season or the Major League Baseball season are going to come up, and they're going to be shortening the seasons, right? And they're asking the players to take a smaller salary to be commensurate with the amount of games they're playing. Instead of the full season, instead of 162 games in Major League Baseball, we'll say they play 100, so you'll get paid for what would be your breakdown. For
That's still too many fucking games of baseball. I'm tired of fucking baseball. 100 games. Cut it to 60 and we're good.
but okay, do you think that they should take the pay cut?
It's up to them. It really is up to them. No, I don't think so.
They should take the pay cut.
No, I don't.
This is what you're saying right now for fighters is, oh, that's the UFC's problem, not their problem. And it's like, no, it's everyone's problem.
No, I don't think the players should take the pay cut.
But aren't footballers employees as well, though? And not
independent contractors.
They are as well.
Yeah. You have to pay taxes in every single state that they play in. That sucks.
That's
football player. I don't know about baseball players, but I know football players do.
I heard someone make
a football player does.
Yeah, but I don't recall paying taxes in all the states that I fought in though. I don't recall that. Only, but I mean, I live in California. But then like Trevor, he lived in Idaho. When he came here, he had to pay a 7% tax right off of his fucking paycheck.
Yeah, that's
right
California.
there. That's California. Yeah. But other states, I don't recall ever having to do that.
It's not all states.
To your point as well, the fighters are the ones starting the drama on social media by calling out the UFC on social media.
They need to.
Yeah, but I'm saying like your argument is that Dana's going on media arguing like
because Dana doesn't talk to them outside of the media. That's what you don't get. Like I said, my relationship with Coker was I give him a call. Hey, can we have this conversation so we can maybe talk about, let's get the money right? They're talking about fucking sharing tweets and they're talking about sharing texts. Come on, call your lawyer and share your texts. This is not how you, if you want to be the person who runs the promoter of this company and you have your top talent guys, like Masvidal is a fucking draw. Nick and Nate Diaz are draws. I don't care what you say. John Jones, as much as I don't like him, he's a fucking draw. Like these guys.
So.
Okay, but
I'm just being honest.
Yeah. No,
look at his pay-per-view numbers.
I have. Yeah. And I know what you're saying. But I'm saying if I'm going to compare him to someone like Amanda Nunes, he's a draw. Okay. I mean, when we're talking.
If you're going to compare John Jones to Nate Diaz, who's a bigger draw?
I think Nate is.
He is.
Yeah, I think Nate is. So, but the reason why Nick and Nate continue to come, make their money and leave is because they know there's going to be a time when they need them to come back and sell a pay-per-view. And so they'll just keep doing that. And they're very smart by doing that. Masvidal's being very smart right now to capitalize. Like he said, 16 years in the business. The iron's hot for me right now. And as much as he's given to the game, like a lot of these fighters have, but this is his moment. You cannot step away from the moment when it's right there in front of you and be like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take it for the team. No. Not in this sport. Sorry.
No, because what happens is when you take it for the team and then you lose, then the team kind of leaves you.
Yep. Well,
it's a tough situation.
You know, and I'll continue to go back to like my life experiences. My life experiences was, you know, they told me that Pettis was off the fight for my title shot against him. And what did I do? I said, no, you got to give me someone in the top 3 if I'm going to fight. Well, like an idiot, I should have just said, you know what? After a dominant performance over Nate Diaz, I'm just going to wait for Pettis. You know, but I didn't. I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm getting older. I'm not getting any younger.
Give me Benson Henderson.
Give me Benson Henderson. Give me somebody. They came to me with Benson later, you know, like a week later. After I told Joe, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I saved my money. I can wait 6 months. He's like, fuck you. He called me a week later. I'll give you Benson. But that's what happens. Like you have to stand your ground against them to get a little bit more of what you want. I got what I asked for. I asked for someone in the top 3. I put my foot in my mouth. I should have waited for Pettis. You know what I mean? But it's that situation. It's that Masvidal right now is like, no, I'm not waiting. I'm going to fight who I want and I'm going to get paid what I want. And if I don't, then he can just walk away. He can. The sad part is.
Where's he going to walk away to?
I mean, yeah, you're right. He can't go anywhere, but I'm saying he could if he was released, he could go.
And this is why he's not going to get released.
That's the sad thing.
They don't release people.
Well,
really?
Well, I mean,
who have they released?
Well, they traded away one of the best pound for pound guys in the world. They obviously don't want top guys.
Well, that was because they were thinking about getting rid of a division.
Yeah,
that he had just lost.
They just let Eddie go though as well, right? I mean, here's my thing in the conversation.
No, Eddie fought out his contract.
No, he did fight out his contract, but they didn't really try to like one up it and come back with it. They just said, nope, see you later.
Well, no, it was like, yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
They offered Eddie a good contract, and ONE FC offered Eddie a ridiculous contract.
Yeah.
Okay, Eddie took ridiculous, and you can't blame Eddie for doing that. Okay, so good for Eddie.
Eddie's always gone where the money is,
and that's what makes Eddie Alvarez a very smart young man.
And I've always loved Eddie for that. Always loved Eddie for that. You know, but do we see these guys and these girls finally stick together and make a move? No, you don't think so either. I don't think so either. Yeah,
ain't gonna happen.
I don't think so either.
I wish it would, and I've talked to fighters about it, but the problem is, it's exactly what you talked about at the beginning. It only takes one to go, I'll do it. Oh, you'll make me the main event, I'll do it.
Yeah,
and that's all it takes, and then everything just turns to crap for everybody else. And so you're either all committed and you stick to what you're gonna do, and you hold them at bay and say, we're not fighting until you do this. You do that, you have the ability to make things happen. If you don't, this is what unions are for, and this is why Leslie Smith tried to form a union within the UFC, and she got booted for it because the last thing that the UFC is going to want is that union, and I understand why. You understand why, because it can cause them problems. But
But here's
I do not see the fighters sticking together.
Here's the thing. If the fighters are ever going to do it, right now is the time because they're hemorrhaging money and they just took out another loan to pay the interest off on the loan that they have that they bought the company with. If the fighters really want to make a stand, there's no better time after coming off of 2.5 months of no fights to stand your ground and try and get a bigger piece of the pie. If you guys fucking blow this, which they will, if they blow it, guess what? You guys have lost that opportunity for the next maybe 5 to 10 years. However long it takes you guys to get your shit together, there's not a better time than right now. If they want to do it, this is the time for them to do it. You know, I mean, like when you have John Jones, Masvidal, Nate's pretty much like, I'll come back whenever the fuck I want. Same thing with Nick. You know, you've got guys that have been leaving. You know, Eddie was willing to take more money somewhere else. What's it called? Musasi left for more money to Bellator. But Rory McDonald left for more money.
Musasi, Rory McDonald, Eddie Alvarez all bought out their contract.
Yep.
Okay. Paige Van Zandt has said that she's going to fight this last fight against Rivas. That'll be the last fight on her contract. And she's just going to see what her value is. That's a smart move by a fighter to see, hey, what am I worth? Yeah. What can I get out there? Is what the UFC, if this is where I want to stay, is what they're offering me what I want. If it's not what I want, then I can always go and see, well, let me see if someone else will pay me what I want. And if somebody else will, now you have the choice of, okay, this company will pay me what I want, but I want to be in the UFC. I want to fight for them under their promotion. Is it worth that money to me?
Yeah.
And if you say, okay, it's worth it to me to, you know, stay with UFC, okay, I'll make less money. Or, nope, I want the money. This is, you know, if you're looking at it smart, this is a short-term career.
Yes.
Let me go and make as much money so I can have something when I'm done. That would probably be your smartest choice.
This was my mentality when I came up fighting. I always went where the money went. That was one. Except for the time when they got rid of the lightweight division in the UFC, I had no choice. I want to say one word. Yes.
Shrewd.
Shrewd, very
nice,
shrewd.
Baby. Very, very shrewd. Very nice. I'm proud of you.
Always
keep going, man.
Always went where the money went, except for when the UFC got rid of the lightweight division, and then I went to Pride, and then went from there, went to Strikeforce. Going where the money is. Sure, maybe you're not going to fight under the UFC banner. And so when you're out there socializing, let me ask you how important it is for you to say, I'm a UFC fighter. Because to me, it didn't mean shit to me. I was like, I'm a fighter, period. Whether it's the UFC, whether it's Bellator, whether it's Strikeforce, whether it's Pride, whether it was Dream. I fought in all those organizations. I didn't give a shit. Every time I fight, every time I introduce myself or someone says something, you look like a fighter, you look like a wrestler, your ears. Yeah. I fight MMA. Like the description is that. Not UFC. It's not Bellator. It's not, sure. And then they ask me, I talk to them about the conversation and where I fought and things like that. But it's up to the athlete to figure out what's more important to them. Yeah. To be able to turn to someone and say, yeah, I fight in the UFC, or I made $1 million.
You need to understand. Okay. It's as simple as I was watching Chase Hooper fight tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm watching this kid fight and he's fighting Alex. And Alex
Caceres.
But Alex is just lighting him up.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, there was such a disparity in the technical level.
Who made that match?
Well, but this is the point, is Chase is a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Okay, why is he fighting in the UFC? Now, and thinking about it now, Joe actually said something to that effect. Is this the right thing for him at this time?
Rory McDonald was 20 years old in the UFC.
You're right. Rory McDonald was.
Fucking savage.
And Rory had a better skill set overall.
Yes, very true.
Than what Chase has. Chase is really good on the ground. He is. He's got really good grappling skills. But the game has changed. And
he also still has baby fat on him.
Oh my God.
He looks like he's like in middle school.
He's still growing into his body and stuff. And so you look and you go, why is he there? Well, he's there because he had a trainer that took him and got him a chance on the Dana White Contender Series. Then he wins that fight and they put him on a little contract that he can fight outside of it and get some more fights in there. And then they finally bring him in and he wins. And you look and you go, that's good, but he's not going to last.
No.
He doesn't have the overall game to stay at that level right now. And the one thing that it takes, I don't care what you're doing. It's the same thing as what you were talking about as a fighter. I went through it as an official. It takes a maturity to say, I don't have to work for the UFC. I've been there. I've done it. And it doesn't matter if I ever go back.
Yeah.
That's the mentality you have to have. If you have that mentality of, hey, been there, done it, it doesn't matter if I go back. If I do, great. If I don't, great.
Well,
that's the mentality that the fighters have to have. The problem is not all of them have the maturity to do it. Right now, you're seeing that George Masvidal and John Jones, they're starting to get that maturity of saying, hey, just release me. I'll go somewhere else.
Yep.
Which makes them smart as far as trying to get something done because they're not going to get released.
Yeah, there's no way they're getting released. You know, and John being the champion in both. And is that even a title? Didn't
John say he was giving up his title?
Yeah, he vacated, but you're still considered the champ.
No.
John said
he vacated.
He said he's vacating. No, I know you're vacating, but then you still can't. You can still they still consider you the champ. You can't just leave.
Yes. No. You're still under the contract because you didn't lose the title.
Yes. So that would be like you're the champion, so you can never leave. Because in that contract it says if you're the champion, you can't leave. So even if you vacated it, you're still considered their.
What? Stop.
Go ahead.
Here's where you're missing it.
Okay.
Because this is the same as Conor had. If you are the champion, you're right. They can't. So as long as they don't make another champion, they've got you.
Gotcha.
But as soon as somebody else gets that belt, is proclaimed the light heavyweight champion of the UFC,
even interim,
guess who is no longer the champion?
John.
Interim, no, it doesn't really work the same.
Got it. But here's the other thing: is Masvidal a champion because he's the BMF holder?
Well, he's BMF.
Does that count?
No, that does not.
How do you know it's the champion?
That doesn't count. No way. Nope.
It's a title.
Belt. No, it's everything that they said. That is not a title.
Okay.
It doesn't belong in a weight class. So
I wouldn't put it past Dana to fucking do that.
I wouldn't put it past them either, but he's not under a champion spot.
Anyways, I look at what I'm from the outside looking in. They need to band together and fix this. Like at least put pressure on them to get from 12% to 18 to 20%, somewhere in there. Look, I'm not all for like, let's just blow the doors open and go right to fucking 40%. I mean, that's the side I will take with a promotion. Let's ease our way into it. Look, I know you guys are worth more money. I know you guys have been fucking fighting your asses off. Let's go ahead and start making these adjustments for you guys, and we'll start trending that way. Let's get it to 18% now, and we'll work on it, say however the NBA and NFL unions do it, they renegotiate in 10 years or 8 years, or let's revisit it then. You know, because the landscape after this whole COVID thing, we don't know where the fucking sport's going to be in 10 years. So let's try and renegotiate it now. When we get to that 10-year mark, and we'll renegotiate then and see what's going on. That's only fair. I think it is fair. But the thing is, like in the NFL and like in baseball and all these, when they have scabs and they find out the scabs can fight and the scabs can play, guess what? The owners are like, maybe we don't need you guys. People just want to tune in to watch fights. They don't want to deal with the drama.
Well, it's exactly what you're saying, and this is what has made the UFC what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, Lorenzo Fertitta, when he bought it, said, "I bought 3 letters. I bought UFC." Okay, and he's not lying; he's telling the truth. And you know, I had that conversation with him when he first bought it because he was talking about we're going to make stars. I said, hey, it's not that easy. The one thing the UFC could always control was their brand.
So we have you to blame for this.
Yes, one of the reasons.
Yeah.
So.
An ass.
But well, you look and you go, it's the same thing in the NFL. People want to see that uniform on the field. They want to see that Dallas Cowboy uniform. They want to see that Washington Redskin, that Philadelphia Eagles, the LA Ram, whatever it is. They want to see that uniform. I'll even say it, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
Sometimes they don't even care about the person inside it.
That's not true. I'm a big Mahomes fan, man.
Well,
I'm a big Mahomes fan now. Oh,
Yeah. When it comes to no football or watching someone with a number 15 on in a Kansas City Chief uniform playing as the place kicker, they'll take that instead of no football.
very true. Yeah, but that's because I like football. But if it was that or baseball, I'd fucking say no baseball. That's the way I look at it. Yeah, I mean, like I like playing baseball, but it's like I don't like to watch it. It's boring on TV, except for when it's the playoffs. I wish they would break the baseball season up into 2 seasons, like 2 60 game seasons. Like you have one 60-game season, you have a champion, and then you have wait 3 or 4 months and play another, I don't know, 6-month series. I don't know. Anyways, I don't even care about baseball. It's like watching paint dry. But overall, these guys, like I said, this is their moment. This is their opportunity. And if they don't capitalize now, it's going to be another 10 years before they even get another chance. If they even get another chance, there's just no way around it. And like, I feel like right now is the time. And I know it sounds probably very selfish of me, and I'm okay with that. But you got to stick it to the UFC now. You got to stick it to the promotion.
Look
and be
at
like,
you,
hey,
and you just want to stick it to the poor promotion.
well, I'm
Someday
sorry.
you'll figure out the promotion allows you to have a job.
It's very true. You are true. And that's why I stood up for the promotion when you said 30%, I said 18. Let's do this in baby steps, okay? I'm going to speak to everyone at home and be very clear to them. Like, I'm not trying to stick it to them as in terms of make them go out of business, but I think the promotion can afford 18%.
So if you were going to do it and you're going to lay it out, would you lay it out? We'll say, all right, within 1 year, it has to be 18%. Within 5 years, it has to be at 20%.
That's a good idea. I never thought about that. I would say probably I would say within the first year or two, let's get it to 18. Within 5 years, let's get it to 22, 23, somewhere in there. And then moving on, maybe we renegotiate back when we renegotiate then. Because let's be real, they're hitting into markets that they weren't able to hit 5 years ago or 8 years ago. The Russian market was not even in play, and Khabib has put them there. And that market is huge. It seems to be very huge given the pay-per-view numbers that Khabib draws. The Irish market because of Conor. I don't know if anyone else can be able to replicate what he's done in that type of market. But to me, Bisping and was it Dan Hardy? I want to say Greg every time. I don't know why. But Dan, but those
Different
guys,
sizes.
They exploded onto the scene and they made the UK market really popular at the time. And that money came in and flowed in very well for the UFC at the time. Did they see that type of payout when they were there? Basically like a GSP. GSP's a whole other level, I get it, but he had the whole country on his back. Was he seeing the figures that he deserved during that time fighting Matt Hughes, BJ Penn, and all these top guys? Was he seeing $2 and $3 and $5 and $8 million paychecks? I don't know. I mean, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I mean, that's the thing. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't.
Maybe he was.
But for someone who was the main fighter out of that country that everyone supported, like Bisping and Dan Hardy and like Conor and now Khabib, these are markets they're going to be tapping into that they can go ahead and hit. Then the Mexican market as well. There was Kane and there was, they're hitting new markets that are bringing money and revenue in. Now they're making a little push into China as well, into Asia. There's going to be another huge market for them to go ahead and push into and make a lot more money. So I don't want to hear the money conversation too much. I'm okay with not sticking it to them too hard, but let's get to that 18 and 20 and 22 and 25% within the next 4 to 5 years. I like your idea of gradually growing. That's great as well. And renegotiate in 5 to 6 years when they're heavy into Russia, when they're heavy potentially into Africa, potentially into Asia, potentially all these other countries. They're going to keep growing. There's no doubt about that. So let's go ahead and start having this conversation now, especially now when they're a little weak at the knees during this 2.5 month, 3 month layoff. I know.
Look at us solving the problems of the MMA world.
Big brain on Josh. Oh man. All right. Well, I think that was pretty much all I had to say. I'm sure I could keep going, but I think people got the point. What else?
It'll be interesting to see how because if you really take a look at it, you had Cejudo drop the belt and retire.
I knew I was forgetting the name.
Okay, he dropped the belt and retired. You have Jones saying, "I'm dropping the belt and I want to be released," and you have Masvidal with, as you're saying, the BMF title saying, "I want to be released." they're right now having more problems than they're used to having.
Yeah.
So that we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The UFC, they will do what they've always done. They will build somebody in that division or one of those two divisions or whatever it is, and they'll take their place. Anytime a fighter thinks they're bigger than the sport, they're not. We'll make sure that that's clear. Whether it's MMA, whether it's football, whatever it is. That's why the NC2As is no problem saying, you know what, we're giving you education. We're not going to pay you off your jerseys. You'll be nothing without us anyways, because you have to play here to even get to the NFL. So don't worry about it. We'll just replace you. And that's when I try to talk to young fighters, like, oh, I should get paid this. Or I used to have conversations with my own family. They would tell me like, oh, why aren't you making Conor McGregor money? Like he's making all this. I'm like, calm down, you guys. Slow down. There's levels and there's steps to this game. You got to figure it out. And it just takes time, man. So these guys just got to figure out how they can actually make this work without stepping on each other's dicks.
I used to tell people all the time, they would sit there and say, oh, so-and-so's irreplaceable. I go, nobody is irreplaceable. Oh, yes, they are. They do that job. Excuse me. At least every 8 years, they replace a person called the president of the United States. If he's replaceable, so are you.
Yep.
And don't think that you're not.
It's funny to hear. I hear these casuals on, like you read their tweets and some of the posts like on our YouTube channel and stuff like that. And they'll sit there and say like, oh man, if Dana was to leave, the whole thing would go under. No.
Oh my God.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, sorry.
No, it wouldn't. They would find someone to replace him and the person would probably do a fucking fantastic job. Okay.
Yep.
When you're dealing with millions of dollars, you'd be surprised how much people can get done when they're able to throw somebody else's money around. And Dana's a case in point, perfectly clear. He was able to get stuff done because he had a lot of Lorenzo and Frank's money to throw around to get the shit done, you know? And so, good stuff. I thought today's fights were good. I thought today's show was pretty good.
There was actually some good fights. I love the Cody Garbrandt. I love Sugar Sean. I had to do it. Sugar Shane Sean. Loved his fight. And there was some really quality fights today. I thought Cody really looked good and Amanda looked fantastic. So they were fun to watch. I'm okay with paying for it. You cheap bastard.
Yes, I am. But this is because I didn't get paid enough throughout my career.
Okay. Now you're taking it back.
Not all of us are money bags.
In little $70 chunks.
Jeez, man, it's horrible. Hey, it's a start. All right, guys. So hey, if you guys enjoyed our show, hit the thumbs up on YouTube. That'll share our videos to everyone else. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And like I said in the beginning of the show, we appreciate last week's show. We don't want to get too political with you guys. We don't want to talk too much about other stuff. We know you guys come here.
No politics.
No politics.
Great.
We know you guys come to us for MMA and for the sports knowledge and our actual expertise in this sport. And so we are very thankful. So please share our show, hit the thumbs up. Also subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, all the platforms. We're available on all of them. And share our videos. If you guys share them on Instagram, Twitter, any of those things, please tag us in it. We will actually retweet you or reshare your post. We thank you guys. Anything else, John?
Yeah, go to Pro Wrestling Tees for weighing in shirts, and I think you use Josh Thompson, right? It's
prowrestlingtees.com/Josh Thompson official. And then we have some new shirts up there. And so check those out. And then we're getting together, I think, another one, aren't we, Dave?
Yeah.
Speaking of the mic so people can hear
When
you.
is that coming, man?
Yeah, when's that coming? What's going on?
The guy sent it over to me the other day.
Who is this guy, by the way?
His name is Luke, and he's helping me with some designs. So I'll
Luke?
I'll announce more once obviously we've all figured.
Is it Lick or Look?
Luke,
like Rockhold.
Oh, Rocco. Luke.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand you. I thought maybe you were trying to.
I am your father.
I thought he was trying to lick the mic. He's like, his name is Lick. His name is Lick the mic.
I'm sorry,
Lick.
Dave.
Oh man. All right. Well, hey, we thank you guys, and hey, see you guys next time.